What's going on? Well, I didn't realize these were 8611s. Yeah, these are never going to hold up in the elevators. And just started to show you a couple of things. Like, this guy, he was very skilled for sure in his, hobby craftsmanship and knows what he's doing and stuff. And for what, he was going to do, just he already put 3 flights on it, so just cruise around in some circles and maybe do a roll and fly it once a year. He did fine, but I was definitely going to run into trouble. Like on this, it was pretty much everything. Like the holes were loose in the wood supports there for the servos, and then the servo screws were small and they were loose. And then he had the sleeves in backwards, which this is not going to kill you to have the sleeves in backwards, but just another thing that's not right. And then the servo arms, everything came apart real easy in terms of all the machine bolts. So yeah, it wasn't, if he had any Loctite, I don't think he did have any Loctite, just to be honest. Like, it all kind of unscrewed like super soft, super easy. And yeah, bottom line is, wasn't going to hold up for me. I don't even know if it would have made it a flight, but it definitely wasn't going to make it two. And then I saw he had soldered some leads onto these servos. So that was interesting too, because like I looked at that and I go, I bet you that's soldered, because some guys, I've seen some of these old planes, it's actually just twisted with tape. And I've even seen one start on fire. One of the guys at the field, old Cardin. But I knew this guy. I figured, he was probably good because this guy knows what he's doing. It's not like I did the series with the Hangar 9 300X, and that guy was just new, so he just did a lot of things totally wrong because he didn't have any knowledge. This guy's knowledgeable, good craftsman, knows what he's doing. Yeah, and he soldered all these. He shrunk them individually and then shrunk over the top of that. I took it apart to take a look, and these are all thin without any rough spots. So, like, he knows what he's doing. Did a good job. And I'm sure it would have held up for him. But this stuff, I think these are max 6 volts, too, on these 8611As. These are very old servo. And these look pretty beat. I think he had these in a few planes. Like I said, I'm sure this all would have been fine for him. The only thing I'm going to have left that's not new on the servos and extensions will all be new. Yep, all servos, all extensions will all be new. And then servo arms, push rods, ball links, all be new. The only thing I'm leaving is these control horns. At least that's what I'm saying at the moment. And I don't think these things would break necessarily. It's pretty thick plastic and everything. What I worry about is how they're attached. I got any good light here? Maybe I better move this. So they're attached with those. I can't really focus in too good, but it's the end of a machine bolt. So maybe these 3mm. Looks like it, yeah. So you got the end of a machine bolt. So it's just the threads of a bolt. So there's no washer and nut. So a guy could have put the head on this side because he's got the head over on this side. I think you could have squeezed a head in there because there's some room around. Gotta move that. There's some room around there. A nut and a washer might have been tough, but you could have put a head on there. Then you got that, sucking it down. Right now you're just talking about the shear strength is pretty much what it would be, I guess, of the threads through there. Which, I'm probably going to fly it unless I get crazy here and just take them out right now, which you never know because it's all mental. So once I get everything else done and it's all new everything and all I have is these, then I may just do it before I fly it because it's just one last thing to do, which you could kind of justify. But you can't justify 100 things right now, so I got to get the other 99 things done first. But that's the only thing. I actually think this plastic would probably hold up to our flying. But yeah, and these push rods, they're only in like an 1/8 inch on each side, and they have a cut end. So on a cut end, unless you can use a die on it, it's got, sharp edges. I could take this off and show you, but you're following me, I think. Here's one over here. No, that's not one. I don't know where the other one is to show you. Maybe. I thought this would be a 2-second video like usual, and then, you know how I am. Let's see if I can do this. So, yeah, these do not go in very many threads, and then they're in, is the other side coming out? Yeah, this side's coming out. So yeah, you can see they're only in like maybe an 3/16, and then this is cut. These are all cut. You can see, how it's cut. So what happens with that, see, you get the wide part from the compression. It's like a tit hanging out there. So that wallers out more width as you're putting in than you want, so it doesn't make the bite very good. So you got to run these through a die if you're going to cut them, and make sure you've cleaned all that stuff off, or tip them out with a grinder, chamfer them so they don't tear up too much plastic if you're ever going to do this type of thing. And then you want, for me, probably 5/16 is about where I would say is the minimum I would want, and these had more like 3/16. And then that tip that causes problems. I'm trying to see about the focus. Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, squirting out the side, cutting things up. So this is a lot about nothing, but you guys seem to have found some interest in this this overhaul. And yeah, so there's reasons. There's a reason to do this stuff, but yeah, sleeves backwards so they don't get as much, flush mount into the plywood. They're more digging in. It's just a sharp edge there digging into ply, so that's not ideal. You really want that flange digging into ply. And then your metal, because that's, wood to metal. And then you got metal to metal. Usually this is where the servo screw is, on the sleeve. It's reversed. And then your servo screw's got a flange on it that goes metal to metal, so it doesn't compress. So yeah, picking on him a little bit for doing that, which would hurt him not at all. And then picking on him, I guess, for these servos. Not really. I'm just saying these servos are no good for me. But yeah, they probably would have worked for him. That's it. So all this stuff will be new. And then, I dropped thin CA. Zap. The thin CA into those holes to stiffen those up, because I don't want my servo screws to back out. Then I'm using the micro fasteners number 3 by 5/8 instead of the old, number 2 by, what were they, 9/16, because these have a lot more bite. And we just, I've been talking about this for a few years too, that we used to use the same servo arms. We used these same aluminum servo arms and the same linkages, the same push-rod titanium turnbuckles, Dubro ball links. We used all that stuff with, our servos were like 180-inch ounce, like the 8411s, like the best you could buy, back then in 2001. And we're using the same control horn, so these connection points, now that we're using 1,000-inch ounce servos, we need to revisit this. But my battery's dying, and that's just kind of an update of what's going on with this. And yeah, here's the bottom line. Here's the big bottom line of this whole thing. Next time I see a used plane for sale, you guys tell me no, okay? All right, and if I buy one, just tell me to sell it, okay? All right, out.